Hello everyone. Before we get to this lesson, please take out this handout found in your Spiral 2 notes. We're talking about quadratic relations. In the last lesson, we looked at changing factored form to standard form. Today we're looking at changing vertex form to standard form. So just recall, you can write a quadratic relation in 3 different ways: vertex form, standard form, and factored form. In the last lesson, we looked at changing factored form into standard form by expanding. This lesson, we're looking at changing vertex form into standard form by doing the same thing. We're going to be expanding. So I have a few examples to look at on how to do this. So for this first one, I have x minus 3 squared. We just have to remember what squared means. When you have an exponent, it tells you how many times you're multiplying the base by itself. Well, in this instance, the base is what's ever in the brackets. So really, we're multiplying these brackets by itself. So we have x minus 3 times x minus 3. Now we have an expression like we did in the last lesson, brackets times brackets. So we will do x times x to get x squared. We'll do x times minus 3 to get minus 3x. We'll do minus 3 times x to get minus 3x. And then minus 3 times minus 3 gets me plus 9. And then those middle terms, the minus 3x can be simplified to just minus 6x. So I end up with x squared minus 6x plus 9 as my standard form. Here I have the same situation, brackets squared. So that ends up being the brackets times itself. 3x plus 1 times 3x plus 1. So now I'll do 3x times 3x to get 9x squared. 3x times 1 gets me 3x. 1 times 3x gets me 3x. And 1 times 1 gets me 1. So now I have 9x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 1. Those middle terms, 3x plus 3x, simplifies to 6x. So I end up with 9x squared plus 6x plus 1. So anytime you see an exponent with brackets right in front of it, that just means whatever's in the brackets gets multiplied by itself. So same with over here. We have brackets with an exponent of 2, so that means we multiply the brackets by itself. We're going to do that, get an answer, and then multiply that by 3. Once we've done that, then we have to subtract 5. We're just doing order of operations, BEDMAS. Exponents come first, then you do the multiplication, and then you do your addition or subtraction. So, brackets with an exponent of 2 means you multiply the brackets by itself. So we end up with 3 x plus 1 times x plus 1. And don't forget the minus 5 is still there, so we tack it on to the end. So just like before, we have brackets times brackets, so we'll do x times x, which is x squared, x times 1, which is x, 1 times x, which is x, and 1 times 1, which is 1. So we end up with 3, and then in brackets, x squared plus x plus 1. And we still have this minus 5 at the end, so it stays there. Those middle terms, plus x, simplifies to plus 2x. So we have 3 in brackets, x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then minus 5 at the end. Everything inside the brackets is multiplied by the 3 in front. So we end up with 3x squared plus 6x plus 3, and then the minus 5 at the end. Those last two terms, plus 3 minus 5, are like terms, so they go together to become minus 2. So we end up with 3x squared plus 6x minus 2. And this very last example looks way more complicated, but it's actually not so bad if you just break it up. So if you just work on this first half, get an answer, and then work on the second half separately and get an answer. Just subtract all the terms from the second half. So why don't you pause the video and try this one, see how far you get. And if you get stuck or if you get done, you can unpause the video and check your work. So I've separated this part in red from this part in blue. Brackets times brackets. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. 1 times 2x is 2x. 1 times 1 is 1. Simplify the middle terms. Plus 2x is just plus 4x. And then everything in the brackets is multiplied by 3. So I get 3 times 4x is 12x squared. 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times 1 is 3. So that's the first half. The second half, x plus 2 times x minus 2. Well, x times x is x squared. X times minus 2 is minus 2x. Plus 2 times x is plus 2x. Plus 2 times minus 2 is minus 4. Simplify the middle terms. Minus 2x plus 2x is 0, so I don't have to write it in there. And now I'm subtracting everything in the bracket. So I'm subtracting x squared, so I have minus x squared, and I'm subtracting minus 4. So the double negative means it's a plus. So now I look at what are my like terms. Well, 12x squared minus x squared, those are like terms. Plus 3 plus 4, those are like terms. The 12x is by itself. There's no other terms with a single x in them. So 12x squared minus x squared is 11x squared. 12x is by itself, so it stays the same. Plus 3 plus 4 is plus 7. So there you go. I took this complicated thing and turned it into simplified standard form by expanding.